Hey guys, and welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 12. I'm here with Richie, Luke, and Cody. And today we got it's kind of a grab bag of topics we've got going on. I think we'll start with side hobbies other than off-roading stuff. And I think we've sort of touched on this a little bit here and there, but I mean, related or unrelated, I guess if it affects... if it has anything to do, or has it helped you in off-roading in any way? Personally, when I'm not working on Jeeps and stuff, I'm an IT guy. I've got, if you knew me from a work perspective, I don't know if you'd know that I've built
No,
dumb
no
Jeeps.
one would. Not a
Yeah,
single goddamn person would ever suspect anything about you in off-roading.
yeah, it's sort of a weird clash of stuff I've got going on.
You definitely seem like Graham, the stereotypical nerd.
That's
Yep.
not true. That's not true. Because when
When
I first met him, I had no idea that he was even into technical stuff. Or I guess technological stuff is probably a better word. I mean, I genuinely had no clue, so I wouldn't have classified him as a nerd. He doesn't have like the big spectacles and like snouts or whatever, I don't know. But he's not a...
Graham just looks like a nerd to me.
Oh, well.
I'm gonna say it. I
feel like you look more like a nerd with your glasses and your curly hair, man. I don't know.
But I mean, I guess the tech stuff, the computer stuff, for me, working on that during the week, I've always been into computers, always been into working with software and hardware and just stuff related to of that nature, and I've always found the off-roading stuff and the the mechanical work that I put into cars and just all the actual hands-on stuff I end up doing with vehicles to be a nice break from the tech stuff, right? That's sort of what I figured out once I started working full-time as an IT guy. It was like, I don't want to come home and work on computers. Like,
yeah, fair enough. I understand that.
That's what I do every day.
I understand that too.
You need a break. And I think the thought process that I put into some of the work I do, and I mean, I still do some technical stuff on the side, but less so than I would if I wasn't working in IT. Do you guys have something similar going on? Do you have hobbies that you go to, or stuff that you do during the week that keeps you sane away from the off-roading, or the other way around?
What's funny is the off-roading is what keeps me sane, but like as we were talking about, I heavily got into 3D printing in the past couple of weeks. That's been like my major go-to hobby. I shoot on the side a lot too, but lately it's been a little bit cold, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but ammo prices are through the goddamn roof. So shooting has been kind of like a when I have a overtime paycheck kind of a deal. And the 3D printing stuff is tying back in for me with the hobby because like I'm building a bunch of custom shit for my Jeep, like with the shifters and all of that stuff.
Aren't you looking into doing a switch panel as well?
Yeah, I'm doing a switch panel because, well, that was actually what got me into the 3D printing is I asked someone who I knew had a 3D printer to make me a radio-based switch panel to take up that slot, and he quoted me the $120 to do it, and I was like, damn! And I looked into it, and I was like, crap, I can buy a 3D printer for $200. Huh. Fuck it. I'm diving in head first.
Yeah.
What about you, Cody?
I mean, I feel like my hobbies just take away from my wheeling. Like, everything that I, like, whether it be dirt bikes, snowmobiles, snowboarding, paintball, video games, the level of entry that it takes to get into those kind of hobbies is just as expensive as wheeling. Like right now, me and Graham have been tossing up the idea of building me a PC, but it's like that's gonna cost me $1,300 or so, maybe even more. That money could be spent for, I don't know, coilovers, 4 link setup for the rear. It could be cage stuff, seats, like.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But at the same time, I will say this. your computer, if you build a decent one, will last you quite a long time, and it allows you to do a shit ton of extra.
And you won't
Correct.
crash on the podcast.
No,
Or
that's half
the
the
hope.
fun. That's the fun. But
Becomes tradition.
correct. But it would have been funny if I actually crashed right then, because it would have been like perfect timing. But I don't know. Like after work, most times I go home. I play some video games, hang out with the guys, and I was kind of tossing up the idea of going next gen. And in reality, for $600 for something that's gonna last 4 years probably till the next one comes out, it's just worth it to go PC. I love PC games. Any PlayStation or Xbox game, you can mostly play on PC and better. So it's worth it.
Only better if there's trade-offs here and there. I wouldn't say that it's. I like it more because there's a lot more potential for things to go wrong. It's sort of like off-roading in a sense, right? Like there's.
True.
I mean, and I've
True.
been like this month especially. I don't know what it is. I've had a bunch of buddies who just keep having computer problems. It's like I'm an IT guy after hours as well, which isn't what I want to be doing, but you know,
That sounds like someone's a nerd.
I understand it though. Like when I was working, such a dickhead. When I was working as a mechanic, I understood that. Like when I got home, I did not want to touch anything like tools, a vehicle, nothing, because it was so stuck in my head of 40 hours a week, or actually it was longer than that. I was working stupid hours. I just never even wanted to touch it. And even now, like I'm doing a side job for a buddy of mine doing redoing his whole entire basement, and I do like property maintenance stuff. So and now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, after work, do I really want to go and put mud and tape on this wall? No, not really. I want to go home and drink some beer and hang out with the guys, you know, like just kind of what I prefer. But back to kind of the topic at hand, the only hobby that I'd say really correlates over to wheeling was dirt biking. I started dirt biking at a really young age, so getting to understand how different terrains and how it affects traction and how it affects like fatigue, it correlates pretty easily over to wheeling. Like you can look at an obstacle and have 6 guys look at that same obstacle, and each one of them are going to pick a different line. But somebody who has experience and understands their vehicle the best will pick the best line and do it the easiest. So, and especially with like racing, coming up to something, you have probably a second, maybe 2 seconds to really decide like this is your line, you're sticking to it, and you better hit it hard. And it kind of correlates over to wheeling, where you can watch your buddy hit something and go, I bet I could do it if I do it this way. And it all just comes down to what your rig is capable to. If you see a massive line, but you only have 30s and you need 53s, like it ain't gonna happen. But it could be a decent line if you had bigger tires. So,
Yeah.
That's the other thing is you can. Sorry to keep cutting you off, Luke. I mean, this I hate to sort of brag a little bit, but the Rouse trip for me, following on our, was it the second day, Luke, or was that? Yeah, that was day 2 of us wheeling, right? It was we were mostly following rigs on 42s.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the adventure with Jamie, or are you talking about on the second
No, day after that.
Okay, yeah, no, that was
Right.
the smallest rig there was on 37s.
Yeah, and it was, we were riding with Curtis and everybody else, and they've all got big rigs that are borderline buggies, or I don't know if you consider some of those things buggies. I think they would be.
I would consider them at the very least very dedicated crawlers.
Yes.
Maybe not quite buggies,
I mean, yeah,
but
they're not tube chassis. They're built off a platform, right? I mean, 2 Cherokees and TJ and anybody else who was there. I think those guys were the main ones. But I mean, me and Colin, up until Colin broke, I'm sure he would have continued to follow after if he hadn't broke. But line choice, you can make it up a similar obstacle to something that's got bigger tires with smaller tires, and you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do a pretty all right job following you and Luke. And
So
exactly,
35s.
It's all about line choice. You just have to, and tying back into what Cody said, right? But challenging that a little bit. Just because you don't have the same setup doesn't mean you can't do the same obstacle. You just have to pick the right line for your vehicle, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
at some point in time, you do eventually hit quote unquote a wall where
Mhm.
you're just not going to surpass it, even like, you know, you're not going to take a Jeep on 31s down some of the NEA blacks. It's just not going to happen.
Correct.
Um,
Sometimes it actually limits me too. I've noticed where I choose an easy line and it doesn't like look as pleasing, I guess is the best way to put it. Where if one obstacle has different lines, but people classify them as different ratings, I guess is the best way to put it. Like split rock, you have the left side, that's a 40-inch line. Your center line, I mean, you could probably do it on at least 37s, I'd say, depending on how big your diff is in the back. Where then you climb the right hand side, I've been able to do it with little diffs and 35s.
yeah, and there we go with the classic Cody cutout.
He dropped. I was gonna
Right
make fun of
on
him for that.
goddamn time.
You got big diff swinging, or little diff
Yeah.
swinging. Oh, he's
Um,
gone. Well,
So he'll be back in a moment or two, as per usual. Oh,
there he is.
welcome
Right as I'm
back.
talking. Right as I'm talking. God damn it, dude. I can't even last like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But what I mean
was-
is like, sorry, okay. I don't know if anybody cut. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go. If you
Oh.
remember your train of thought, we were just kind
Yeah.
of joking about you crashing.
But I guess it's just like sometimes I take the easy line just because like in my head I'm thinking like racer mindset, like just get up the obstacle, and I feel like sometimes I don't explore enough on different trails to really get that like fun factor. Where I don't know if you noticed when we went to Brookridge, everybody was pretty much running the same line down the trail. They were just following you like a mama bear. And I just was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to play around on different things just because, I don't know, it's kind of half the fun. You just do something different, you hope for the best and hope it works. But
Yeah, so real quick to finish off this topic, because I think we're kind of meandering off. Kish, what are your side hobbies, and did they have an effect on wheeling?
Who, me?
Well, you're
Yeah,
the only
you're the only
Kish here.
Kish.
I didn't hear that.
What do you do during the week other than record this podcast and work, right?
Honestly, that's it.
Family friendly. Family friendly. Okay. Quality
Oh,
content. Don't.
Honestly, my life is sad and pathetic, and I don't do anything.
That's
So-
totally fine. If you just chill out and do nothing, I don't know if
I
I'd
mean,
call it a
during
hobby,
the
but that's definitely a valid way to spend your time.
During the summer, I would just spend a fuck ton of time outside. But, now it's cold out, so I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
But I used to go riding all the time on quads and dirt bikes. But a few years ago, I blew up the motor on the quad I have, and been too lazy to fix it. And then I got a Jeep, and now I don't want to put any money into the quad because I could put the money into the Jeep.
I feel that.
yeah.
I have a fucked up snowmobile sitting at my dad's house that literally needs a few things, and it's just because the money being spent on that could be spent on that is being spent on my Jeep. So I understand that fully.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I think I have to buy a $400 rebuild kit for the motor for this quad, and then to be back to ripping.
As long as you didn't score the pistons and fuck it all up. But I got a dingleberry hone, so we can at least make it somewhat decent.
Yeah,
It's fucking perfect.
I mean, I could bring it into work as well because, I do have access to milling machines.
You just bore it 20 over. Boom.
Yes. Yes, big bore for life.
Big bore quad.
One thing that I will say that, like, I sold my doubler. I know we were talking about that on one of the episodes. I forget which one, but I did end up selling it. I took the money and I put half of it towards an Atlas, and then the other half of that went towards gun parts and ammo. So, a couple of fun things from the past was we learned more about wheeling with Kish's. What was that thing? That thing was sick. That Suzuki you had?
Oh, the quad?
Yeah, that thing fucking.
That was a 1987 Suzuki 4x4 that had a
Hmm.
high, low, and super low range with four-wheel drive diff front and rear.
Huh. That's
The
pretty cool.
the thing was an absolute monster, especially for being a little 250.
Yeah, it went a lot of places, and we learned a lot about line choice with that thing. That thing
Uh,
was sick.
a little fun fact is the fact that most of the trails that we have at my house were all originally done by that quad.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a lot easier to do Devil's Den on a quad than it is in an XJ, though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what obstacle that is.
That's the one off of the green trail where if you cut up that large ledge that we've slowly just been cutting
Oh,
obstacles out of,
yes, yep.
right where the brook runoff is, we call that Devil's Den because if you go to take the side climb, that's always a wet, muddy disaster. And if you go for the main climb, I've seen like 3 buggies make it, and I made it one time.
That's where Richie snapped his axle shaft last trip, right?
On the lead up to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Gotcha.
wasn't quite in it.
The
Denied
only
by the
thing
gatekeeper. Sorry.
the only thing that quad didn't do were any of the large rock faces that the
Understandable.
buggies have been doing.
Yeah, that's definitely
But
understandable.
that quad is actually the only thing that's ever made it all the way through my swamp.
Wow. And I
Yeah.
wonder why it stopped working. Weird. Who would
No,
have thought?
it didn't. It was an I-beam that made it stop work.
You hit an I-beam?
Yes.
Oh.
I was going down a hill at like 65, 70 miles an hour, and someone had closed the gate. I mean, this was like 10, 15 years ago. And someone had closed the gate, which was just a giant I-beam. And so I went to hit the brakes, and all my brakes blew out. That was when they decided to just completely end life. And then I went to try to start downshifting, and it got stuck in between gears. So
I would have bailed. I would have absolutely bailed. Instant thought would have just been tuck and roll. Get off that thing.
It was
Oh my
definitely one of
God.
those things where I froze and my entire body locked up,
Oh.
and I wailed that thing. Completely caved in the entire front end of that quad.
Yeah,
Oh
I don't
my
know
God.
how you were alive after that, 'cause that quad was like fucking crushed in. But
I don't know, but I had to drive it 3 miles back through the trails because I couldn't get it over the gate.
Oh my God.
I
So
flipped I flipped it like 3 or 4 times.
although
on the
I'm
way
gonna
back.
say you're probably fucking exaggerating, 'cause that thing, you would have probably been fucking dead if you hit that thing at fucking 70.
Yeah, you would have shot off the handlebars like 200 feet.
Easily.
Maybe not that far.
So when
Yeah.
just to put it in perspective, when I totaled my stepmom's snowmobile when I was like 13, I was doing like 35 and I got launched 15 feet when I hit a pole in the middle of a field. Like, so if you're going double that, oh God. Unless it caught you at the hip and you just like ate it like a car, like a seatbelt and
That'd
just
be
folded.
worse.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be worse.
I hit the handlebars and the handlebars folded over,
Yep.
and I destroyed the plastics with my thighs. My entire midsection was all a deep purple.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It
the
must have been like
60
40, 50.
I'm sure the 65-70 was an exaggeration, but you know what? It sure as fuck felt it.
Oh fuck
So-
yeah, it does.
Next
yeah, when you
time-
have brakes.
Next time, say you're going 100 then. Just
Yeah.
double down, dude. 120, 130.
Yeah.
I was hauling.
You know what though? That's one of those weird things when you think about it, like in relation to our perception on time, if you will. 'Cause like it seems like your fucking Jeep is moving a shit ton faster than it actually is. If you look at the speedo when you're doing some really dumb shit, it might be at like what, 15?
True.
And it feels like
Especially-
you're fucking speeding. off of rock
Especially,
face.
well, especially with you guys with your 538 gears. I've seen Graham hit maybe. I don't even think I've seen a speedo move when he's rev limiter in first gear. Just whap up up.
If I'm at rev limiter, it's at like 4 or 5 grand. That's how it. That's how that works.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I'm
the
saying
speedo though. No, I'm
speedo.
stupid, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It feels like you're trying to really assault something, but you know your tires are moving 8 miles an hour. Your
Yeah, and
engine's
we've talked
going.
about this before. Like, I have an issue with wheel speed because I'll be like killing the thing and the wheels aren't moving because I'm in first gear. Just
You got all that noise, but you ain't got no go.
exactly.
That's me. Just a lot of noise and it just doesn't do anything. But it is so weird how videos change perspective on different obstacles or hills or anything. Like we had a guy at Instagram who was like, I guess he was kind of hopping into Luke's shit. He was like, dude, why are you giving it so much gas when you're on a hill that somebody could do on 31s open? And I literally just wrote back. I literally wrote back. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've heard all week. Like, you do not understand, but it's true. It's so many different circumstances. Like, a video will look like nothing, but when you stand next to it, you're like, oh shit, that's wow, okay.
Yeah, it was a video. It's on the Instagram page and it's been shared around quite a bit, but it's the blue Jeep going up this double rock face. And it doesn't look like much, but the rocks are probably about 3.5 feet tall, and you've got to do 2 steps in one shot. And it had
And it's
just
slick.
rained. Yeah, it had just rained, so like the rocks were wet, but the dirt you could dig down and find clean, like dryish dirt. So it was no fucking traction. I got pissed and just had to give her a fucking hard hit. And this guy is sitting there and he's like, yeah, I could probably do that on 32s. I'm like, you know what, dude? Fucking, you can do that. I'll pay for your gas to come to the property and drive home.
See, that's what scares me about like out west. Like watching people do different crazy shit out in Moab and whatnot. Like it's steep in videos. Dude, those trails must be insane. Like straight up 90 degrees up and down.
Yeah, but you also have sandpaper on all the rocks.
Yeah, but that doesn't change. It's still got a pucker factor, I'm sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like you're taking off in a rocket. You're sitting and loaded up and it's like 3, a 2, and then like I'm all set.
When I was at or when I was in El Paso, I experienced that though. It's the weirdest thing. The Jeep people out there have a lot less of a fear of, if you will, heights. They're like more okay with getting the nose vertical because of the traction that you have out there. You can just like walk up stuff. You know the rock faces at the back of Kish's?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Out there, you could just like almost walk up it standing straight up and just like going on your tiptoes because of how much traction there was. You can't do that here. You gotta like actually climb up it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm still all set. No, thank you.
It does make the rolls cool.
I still want to get out to Moab. I still want to wheel Moab.
Oh, I'm down. I'll just be watching from above or below. I'm just kidding. I say that now, but I go out there and I definitely probably do it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be fun to get a trip organized. Just it's far. That's real far.
You gonna drive a Jeep, Graham? Mister, I drove my Jeep everywhere.
Yes, I will.
You
Fuck
drive your Jeep to Moab, wheel it at Moab, and then drive
Hey,
it
if
back.
I had enough time in advance, I'd make sure my transfer case was in tip-top shape. There's no water out there, so I don't have to worry about filling all my oil-filled
What about
bubbles
is it? Devil's Bowl or whatever?
Oh, yeah, but it
Mickey's
doesn't
hot
have that
tub.
much water. I wouldn't sink it in that.
No, see that I say we all rent a fucking flatbed tractor trailer. Everyone loads like 5 or 6 Jeeps on it, and we just minivan all the way out.
That sounds very expensive.
Honestly,
I would just
no,
fly
it's
out.
actually not that bad. Fucking, I knew a couple of dudes that were doing that. It cost them like $4,000 for there and back freight, throwing it on a car hauler. And I mean, if you split that between like 6 people,
I think that's a bit cheap. Because if you think Moab is almost 3,500 miles from here. So you're saying less than 50 cents a mile for there and back?
Yeah,
That's
well,
pretty
they got
cheap.
thrown on one of those multi-car haulers. So
Oh,
it
okay,
was
I
like,
gotcha.
yeah, it got split, and then they had unloaded and reloaded it, and like they just flew out there and picked up their
Huh,
shit.
that's pretty cool.
Which that would just be fucking awesome.
Nah,
Yeah.
I would just
Mm,
drive my truck and trailer out there, because then you can hit all the. There's like, if you go across the northern part, there's a lot of nice scenery. There's a lot of nice national parks that you can camp at. I mean, it'd be worth the trip.
No, see,
yeah.
ship your shit out and then drive it back.
No.
That's
Yeah.
the
No, that's the
opposite
worst.
direction.
Drive it out there and then ship it back.
Yeah, I would be
More responsible way to do it.
That's where I'm at. Even though I mean, if I kind of keep going with the route that my Jeep's gonna go on, it's definitely not gonna be street legal enough unless we do a lot of modifications, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, the trip out there in the Jeep would be rad. Then wheeling it and then shipping it back would definitely be the smart way to do it. Think of the photos. That'd be sick. Not Mount Washington, Mount Rushmore with your Jeep. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram.
We could always stop at Nebraska. I got a buddy in Nebraska. Anybody else have anybody where we can stop along the way?
Arizona, but that's not on
Arizona?
the way.
Oh, that's the wrong.
That's not
That's the wrong way.
too far
My
south.
sister's in Tennessee. That's
Oh, we
pretty
could
much all
stop
I
by.
have.
We could
Sort
stop
of
by
in-
Michigan. We could say hi
Oh,
to the.
sure. Yeah, but that's also like the wrong direction from Utah and that area. But
Yep.
I guess
it
you're right.
depends
Yeah.
where you go.
One thing I do want to do is I would love to do like a dirty south trip, if you will. I want to go and hit
Yes.
like
Windrock?
Harlan, Windrock, and
Yes.
Gulches.
Gulches.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
Or like the old salt mines that are down that area. Fuck yeah.
yeah, fucking
Or sand mines. Sand mines. I don't know.
I think I know what you're
forget what they are.
talking about. Or not forget what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about.
I
Holy
actually
shit.
have a buddy that lives not that far from the Gulches. Like that's his
Huh.
go-to spot to wheel.
Yeah, my grandparents live an hour from there too. So,
Oh, sweet, free hotel.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Grandma, we're gonna have about 14 to 15 guys staying in your basement. Sound cool? Cool, got it. Or camping in your backyard. Hope it's fine. They're
Honestly,
all sober guys. They're all nice gentlemen. They'll just piss and shit outside. Don't worry about it. You won't even see them.
honestly, my
They're nice
grandparents would
people.
probably
They are some nice people.
they would probably be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Can we
All
get
right,
drunk?"
mark it down. We're doing it. Luke gave us confirmation. It's happening. But yeah,
Uh,
Windrock
be
is
fun.
definitely on my list for sure.
I've got a
For
buddy
sure.
out there too, so I'd have to pick Trevor up.
I got a buddy down in North Carolina that has been wanting to meet up for a long time, and North Carolina is like 2 states over, so definitely sure we could. Plenty of places.
I really want to go to that spot at Windrock where it's you're in like the base of a pond and then you just shoot up this big rock ledge. There's all kinds of videos online about it.
All right, yeah, I think that was Disney, but so Graham, I know that we were dealing with your track bar situation. We were talking last week about what it was doing and how like the unibody was separating. Do you have any like I think we had talked, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or off the podcast about your plans for it. Have you made any progress on that? And I mean, I'm gonna have to ask the same question to Cody because I know some cool parts are showing up.
Nice. Well, I can't say any progress on my end has been made. What I can say is I was doing some prep because I had to drive it to our buddy Colin, who we talk about quite a bit, and he's redoing my front bumper. So the iconic Stinger is going away, and I'm getting something that will give me better
No.
approach angles and it just look better. I like the style that he's got going on with his bumper. My rear bumper, I don't want to say was sort of based off of that, but I've always known I wanted a tube rear, but the tube front that he made matches what I was thinking for my rear bumper and have for a rear bumper. So I think it'll tie everything in nicely. It'll actually look normal. It'll look like it all belongs. if that makes any sense. I think
it's gonna look amazing. Honestly,
I mean,
like, I
just
think it'll fit your Jeep beautifully.
the little snippets I've seen, he's kind of been, not really. He hasn't been like hiding it from me, but he hasn't been showing stuff. I think on purpose because it's. I mean, I kind of know what to expect, but
I mean,
it's gonna be
it's gonna be
weird seeing it on my Jeep.
Did he just say that you were the one that was ducking him on seeing the progress?
Yeah, that conversation did happen.
Well, that's because
He's been doing.
my phones just don't work. Okay, I've got
IT made with bad phones.
for context. I've got two phones. I've got one that I sunk so it doesn't work, and the other one's like 7. No, not 7. Sorry, that's an exaggeration. Just like Richie's, it's like 4 years old, and it works fine, but it never charges right. And if it gets cold, this is totally off topic, but I can't use it. So it just, unless it's sitting at my desk, it's useless. So I haven't been able to really keep up with some of the stuff he's been sending me because I just can't.
So
I'm excited for that.
Here's the issue that I'm seeing though, Graham, is your Jeep is going to be absolute garbage if it doesn't have that giant stinger.
No.
That is your icon. That is what you're known for. Is
No.
Stinger.
The only thing that's gonna be not garbage is my back hatches now, because I don't have to be nervous at rear-ending me or just slowly nudging until he's like a millimeter away.
No, he needs
I am
that
gonna miss
stinger.
that.
I'm going to personally contact Colin and tell him to put like a 4-foot stinger on.
Ugh.
I don't know if he's put the stinger on it yet. I know like the rest of the bumper is mostly set up, but either way, that's not really part of my plans. I knew that was going to happen at some point. I'm glad it's happening now because now I can build the rest of my shit around it. But the track bar issue, sort of the whole point of talking about the bumper was I was fixing my Jeep to drive it over to Colin, and I had to change out my master and slave cylinder. The seals on it were shot. It was leaking and it was creating an air bubble. So I swapped it out. And while I was under there, I found a bunch of new dents and dings that I didn't think I had. And the other thing I noticed was my track bar is literally separating from the frame rail, even with the stiffeners on it. I've got it, and I've done work to reinforce it before. This will probably, I mean, whatever I do to fix it this time will probably be the 4th fix I've done to the thing. It rips the material that it's attached to right off, and currently it's splitting the stiffener right where the track bar is mounted and ripping the bottom of the frame rail off. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to fix it, but I was initially with this project that I'm sort of gathering parts for and planning on starting as soon as I get the Jeep back from Colin, was just going to be doubler, the 205 NWF box that I've got. I was going to cut my floors out, take my dash out, fix all my ground issues that I've accumulated from sinking the thing, and that was going to be it. I was going to hold off on the coilovers till I had more time. For a different stretch of period.
Yeah.
A period of time that I would have been able to do all of that, separately. I could have focused on one thing and then another thing, but with this track bar ripping off, I'm going to have to work on the front end anyways, like a good amount to make it so it doesn't keep doing that, because I don't want to have to fix it multiple times.
So for somebody who's going to a solid track bar, what would you suggest on bracing?
I mean, what do you mean a solid track bar? Everybody's got a solid track bar.
No, I mean, well, not me, because I have a rubber bushing on one end and a ball joint on the other currently. But I'm saying going to an over-the-axle track bar and going to a drop track bar. I'm now going into this process, so what would you suggest I do to really brace that enough?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that area is pretty well braced to begin with. I think with the Dana 30, you probably wouldn't have as many issues. I think the reason I'm having problems with mine is because I end up putting it in crappy spots, and then I use the hydro, and it just shoves on that track bar. I mean, driving it on the road, I as sketchy as it is to have a track bar ripping off of the frame, I'm pretty sure I've been having this issue for probably the past 3 months of even Jesus. Like driving around and back. I just didn't notice it. because it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't as visible as it is now, and it doesn't drive horribly as it sits, but it's just the longevity of it is it's not going to last. There's still plenty holding it, but it's pivoting it off the front. I would say if you were going to try to avoid the issues I'm having, you would either not push your axle forward as much as I did. I didn't push it forward that much, but the track bar is not sitting where the factory one sits, so it's away from the bolts. There's bolts that hold 4 bolts for the track bar, right? 2 on the inside of the frame and 2 that go through the frame or the rail.
Yeah.
And those 2 bolts hold all those. There's like 4 pieces of metal that are all sandwiched by those bolts. And everybody says if you take those bolts out, it's going to rip apart, which is true. I have those bolts in, but because my track bar is further forward than those bolts, it still is pulling the bottom layer
that
away.
happened to me as well on mine when it ripped. It that inner seam, if you will, that runs below the motor mount, I have to weld all of that back into position, and then I'm going to plate that whole area below it with more bracing directly to my track bar mount. And that's part of the reason I want to go coil over, is so I can free up some area to add bracing to my track bar mount.
Mm-hmm. I think if you're going to put your track bar in a similar location where it's a couple inches in front of those 2 bolts on the inside of the frame, I would say definitely just do a cross brace to the other frame rail. It's something that I thought about doing and probably should have done when I had initially set it up, because I have extra bolt holes higher up on the track bar mount that I could have been using to just take a 1.5 inch dom going across even if I bolted it to the other frame rail, I think there's bolts over there, and just dragged it across to hold the track bar.
Yeah,
I think that would give it enough.
Don't you have a motor in the way?
Yeah, it bends. You bend it under the oil
You can
pan.
go underneath, right under the oil pan.
Oh shit!
No, Richie. Actually, what you do is you drill through the oil pan, put grommets on each side, and now your motor is attached to your frames even more. It's super stiff.
So you don't even need the motor mounts.
Exactly. It's like a motor plate through your oil pan.
Wow.
But yeah, that's something that I'm actually ordering next too. Is the cross brace, I guess you could call it, for the track bar going through.
Plenty of companies make it now, right? I think.
Yep.
Iron Man has one. Stinky Fab.
Stinky Fab has one. I had the Iron Man kit on my ZJ, and I had never had an issue with my track bar. Like
Iron Man or Iron Rock?
Iron Man.
Okay,
4x4.
There's so many different irons.
I know.
Mans and rocks and cocks and all that, so I just had to
No.
figure it out.
Andy had built me a custom mount. It pushed the track bar forward 1.5 inches, and it bolted up in the factory locations with a modified brace on it. And that setup was very solid. I've never had any issues with it. So I'm a big fan of the lateral brace. Unfortunately, with how low my Jeep is, I might be able to get away with it if I lift it another 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Otherwise, I don't know if I can fit it, and I was going to tie it into the front tube work when that gets done. Instead.
So depending on how fucked my frame rail is on the bottom section, that's what I'm worried about. I've got to cut it all out at this point, get a new bracket, and figure out how I'm going to fix it. If I do keep all that intact as it is, the other thing that's going to happen if I'm going to go as far as stripping that frame rail is I'm going to put the coilovers in that I've got sitting around. The amount of extra work that's going to add is not going to be that much more than me basically stripping a frame rail and rebuilding that mount. I mean, it's going to be more work, but since I'm in there and I've got all this stuff to go in there, I might as well do it. So, and that might be able to help strengthen everything anyways, right? I'm not sure how I'd do it yet, but I'm sure once I'm looking at it, I could figure out some other ways to keep that stupid thing from moving.
I like how Colin did his coilovers.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? I'm confused on how that kind of ties into the Or is that kind of what you were getting into? I apologize. I kind of spaced out there, and then I kind of threw myself back into the conversation.
Well, I mean, if I'm gonna be working on that frame rail and taking things out to work on it, it's not that much more of a stretch for me to just put the shock hoops on and put another chunk of tube in there to stiffen everything up and go across the top. If I'm gonna be going across the bottom anyways and doing all sorts of shit to stiffen that front end, because at this point it's ripping off. Like, I don't know how unibodies, how solid they are once you basically are ripping them apart, but I have a feeling that it's not going to last me that long if I just band-aid it again, right? This isn't, like I said, this isn't the first time I've fixed it by just adding metal. At this point, I've got to cut metal off and just sort of go back through what I have to make it so it's going to last a whole nother season, right? Because that's what I want. I don't want to have to be fixing my track
wouldn't
bar.
you ideally not want it to last just another season?
Yeah. That would be
True.
ideal. But if I can get 1 year of hard wheeling out of the stupid thing and have it not give any shits about what I'm doing to it, then I'll take it. I'm okay with working on the thing. That's sort of been my trend for the past few years. Is like I got a solid 8 months, 9 months, 10 months of wheeling, and then I fix it over the course of the downtime of the winter. And I've always got something, or I've had for the past 2 years, some big projects that go on in December into January. And I've sort of been slow to start on this one because I've been trying to gather parts, and I've had other projects coming in that I've been trying to work on that have been taking up my time. But I'm hoping end of January I can start on this and hopefully have it done. If I take some time off from work and do some other stuff, maybe, end of month after that. I'm spacing on what it is.
No, I get what you're saying.
February, maybe like mid-March. I'm hoping not, but you never know. Give myself time.
My goal to get my shitbox out of the shop, even though with what I've simplified is I'm shooting for like February, end of February, somewhere in there is the goal. And I want to have it actually done nice. I need to go
There you
and
go.
commit to spending some more time on it. I've been slacking like a motherfucker.
But we have been making decent progress, I'd say.
Yeah, I had a minor hold up with getting steel. I was trying to order, or not order, but like get 2 pieces of 3x3 angle in 3/16, and I called up Logan. They said that they didn't have it, but they were going to get it on Friday, and I'd called on like a Monday, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I called them. They didn't get that, and I was like, okay, whatever. Forgot about it, and then I had to go down there, and they had 3x3 quarter in the bargain barn, which kind of pissed me off because it must have been there for fucking ever. So, to get my mounts welded to the unibody, I needed two 18-inch pieces of this, and that was my major holdup for a little while. Now my mounts are tack welded together and about to be tack welded to the unibody.
So, really quick to recap, kind of on a previous episode though. So, where did you get your coilovers from, Luke?
I bought them off of Chad Bartley.
And how much were they for the pair?
I got them for, I think, $8.50 to my door with a t-shirt.
Oh, that's not bad. After the whole coilover conversation and removing things, and I just started looking, and I was just trying to see pricing and all that.
Yeah.
Because I've been slowly acquiring parts for my my front end, just trying to refine it a bit more. When we did the 3-link, we didn't really throw it together, but just there was a few different things that we just kind of skipped over. We knew that what was there worked.
We got really good geometry. Some of the shock
Mhm.
mounts should be redone, kind of a deal.
So that's why I was like, is it worth it to just do the track bar where I want it, do the coilovers? But then I'm like, fuck, if I do coilovers, I can't do normal bump stops. I have to go to cans to actually make them perform well. And like, it was a long rabbit hole that I kind of slid down there for a few seconds in my own head. So I was just trying to get the old numbers and whatnot, because after speaking with, fuck, I forget his name on Instagram. He has a very, very nicely built XJ Chris penalty built. He has the chopped in dove nose gray Cherokee with green accents. And I was just kind of like shooting the shit with him about like what really goes into the dove nosing, and it was just one of those things that he was suggesting, like doing shock hoops or coilover hoops during that process, because then as you're fabricating it all back together, you can kind of do it all at the same time, make it look good, make it look clean. So it's just one of those things, throwing it around.
Yep.
But
That's the spiral of work, right?
yep.
It's the trap that Colin got caught in a few years ago. It's the trap that I know I'm about to run into.
Hello.
It's one of those things where, you know, once you're in there, you might as well do all this other shit, and
Yep.
it all adds up.
That's
What was
exactly
supposed to be a simple spring flip, lengthen the traction bar, and go, has now resulted in my Jeep not having a side and, you know, a couple other minor things. No big deal.
So
Put the side back on and get it going.
earlier on we were talking about well, it kind of ties into the whole changes thing. With my Jeep, it's been a collective of conversations about my cage build, and something that I've been doing a bit more research, because after Luke informed me of going the full distance or taking the time and effort to do something, I said, all right, fuck it. I'm taking the time and researching different builds, and like kind of looking into all different off-road aspects, going from like trophy trucks, rock bouncers, crawlers, and just seeing all what people suggest, whether it be on forums, whether it be on actual fabrication, like companies, what they're talking about, other podcasts. And something that has kind of come to my eye is that doing an exo cage is probably not the best decision. Going with proper geometry to make a cage is far better than trying to just go around a Cherokee body and putting the cage around it, trying to make it work. So I don't think going with the mini hoop is going to be my best idea. I think if I want to stay on my platform, I need to chop it up to get the best geometry. And I know you guys both have exo cages, but to me, an exo cage feels like just an excuse to keep the body clean, and fuck that shit. And
Okay, all right. We're going right back to this.
hold on.
They're
Come
not
on.
exo cages. They're
Whatever, you're fucking hybrid
cages.
cocksucker, whatever you want to
Listen, I don't
call
want to
it.
be categorized as an exo cage Cherokee.
I
Let me
don't
tell you.
care. You're
You know how much
using an
time I
excuse to
wasted
keep.
on that stupid thing?
I
It
know,
was like
but
my
I'm just
whole
saying.
Christmas vacation.
I know. I feel that it's not worth the effort to try to keep my body clean for poor geometry that can be used in a better situation. You know what I'm saying? I feel that by trying to, I mean, why the fuck is this thing built like an actual dumpster? I'm not kidding you. Why is there what are they, 10-foot sections across the top?
Listen,
9-foot
that's just
sections?
how they made it.
Hold on. Okay. Jesus. There's a reason that the Cherokee is no longer there. I swear to God, Google it. The life expectancy of a dumpster is 15 fucking years. Do you know how long the Cherokee was in business for? 84 to 01. 15 fucking years. There's no, I swear to God, it is not a coincidence. But regardless, I feel it's not worth the effort to sacrifice proper geometry in a cage just to try to save my body. There is no reason for a straight piece, or whether it may be, for it to go straight across the top for 9 feet or 8 feet or I don't know. I don't have a fucking tape measure on me and a Cherokee in front of me. But looking into it, this is something that me and Luke kind of discussed as well. And he suggested that I don't do this, but I was thinking of going with, start off with the B pillar. Your B pillar is pretty much your main support. I mean, it's what saves this cage mostly from crushing down directly on top of you with having your core supports off of that. And I feel like starting off with that and then properly bracing, that would be smarter than just doing a halo to protect the top and having less chance for the I guess the cage to move around. And I know Luke was kind of saying that that might not be the best idea, but he didn't really get into it, but why do you feel that way, that the double B pillar might be worse than just doing?
I wouldn't say it's worse. I would say it's going to be unnecessary.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
for example, like I know XJ Mike was running one of them for quite a while, but his rig was an incredibly fat pig. If you look at a lot of the rigs, say for example, Greenleaf's rig, if I remember correctly, had a single B pillar for quite a long time. I can't remember if it's still a single B, but I know DMR had a single B pillar, Ross Davis had a single B pillar. A lot of guys are getting away with running a single B pillar. If you're also talking about shortening the body and reducing the overall like length of the body, I feel like you can build in enough
Yes.
triangulation and whatnot to keep the vehicle happily together with one B pillar, and that might be a little
Okay.
bit easier and cleaner to fab because I feel like if you don't, that's one of those things that I don't know. I just like the clean look of one piece of tube. It could be like 3/16 wall for that hoop and for your A pillars as well.
All right. I don't know. I was just in another conversation that came up is like, let's say I did that. I started off with the B, then ran my A's down. There's going to be a section there from the front of the windshield to the B pillar that's probably about maybe 20 inches of just straight tube that's kind of unsupported unless I gusset it to the B. I mean, how long? I mean, where else are you going to support your A to? Unless you go inside the cage and drop it in front of the windshield. Otherwise, where else are you going to drop that A down to
I
without
mean,
having? Go ahead. Sorry.
honestly, the A pillar thing really doesn't particularly worry me. I'm just gonna throw a spreader on mine, but mine are probably they go from the rocker up past the windshield, so maybe like 48 inches long, and I'm not worried about them at all.
I meant
I
horizontal straight is what
uh,
I'm kind of because I mean
Well,
how much can that tube really support with the direct impact straight down without anything supporting it underneath?
well,
um
you're not wrong. The A pillar, I think, is if you only have a single A pillar without a ton of support, because there's not a lot of ways to support it unless you're in a full buggy.
Yep.
Um, that is what gets crushed a lot of the times. I'm pretty sure through conversations with Colin that we were having that, you know, Ross has a double A pillar because he was smushing the single A pillar. I might be wrong. I think I remember that
oh
conversation
yeah,
happening.
you know what? You might be right about that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So then, how does an exo cage or an exo hybrid or exo, however you want to word it, in that sense, how is that going to be more structurally sound than doing what I suggested? Because like on a full body, not chopping it
Well,
in half, because
that's the
chop.
trade-off. When you are doing a full body rig, you're going to have trade-offs. If you're in a two buggy, you don't have to make all those
Yeah.
trade-offs because you're not conforming to a specific shape, a specific platform. I, I mean, there's trade-offs in if you're going to have follow the body lines of an existing vehicle, there's going to be trade-offs. That
Yep.
being said, if you've got
So then
you
you
know,
agree with me. You agree that
I
a
don't
hybrid
I
or
don't
exo is just an
disagree with
excuse to
you.
keep your body clean. It not
No, it's
necessarily
not.
when I mean,
No, I
call
wouldn't
it a
say it's
I
an
good.
mean,
excuse to keep the body
that's
clean.
like
It's just keeping the style of the vehicle intact, and some people, me included, like that, but not everybody does, and it doesn't mean that you have to follow the body of the. I think it's cool when people don't. You know, they take Cherokees and make them weird. I think that's cool. It's not
I
what I would do.
agree,
I
but
like the
to a
look of the
certain
Cherokee.
point. Like I feel like if you I don't like when people build like the boxes, if you will, out of a Cherokee after they've cut the body off and they don't like do something different with it. If you're gonna like
Yes.
chop it up, do something different with it. That's my main thing. I like Miguel, his buggy is very appealing to me. Like I just like the way that the tube work is done. I like that it pulled in with the dove nose and the dove tail and the front forelink. It's just cool. But I don't think that it's saying that it's just an excuse to keep the body takes away from what the cage can do, because that cage will probably hold up perfectly fine to a good hard roll or two. And realistically, that's what it's built for. And that is part of the trade-off of keeping a entirely full-bodied rig that you want to keep streetable. I agree, but I don't fully agree at the same time.
So I'll take that. You agree to the sense of for a streetable rig, it's worth it.
Yes.
But in my sense, where I don't really care about keeping it streetable, it might be the smarter decision to go full, I can't say that word because that's not politically correct, full idiot, and create, fuck whatever comes off the body, but make the cage to be the most structurally sound possible, instead of just going with a hybrid or an exo or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with that. It would be, if your plans are to try and build it into basically a mini buggy or into something similar, then yes. If you want to go like past the route that Curtis went, sure, let's chop it up. You can just move the B pillar back. We can get frisky with cutting the doors off, cut the roof line, however you want to do it, and we can build the cage to that. But that means that you're gonna have to deal with the rest of the supporting mods. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I totally get it. It's just I'm trying to. The vision that I have for my Jeep, it fucking changes every single day. I swear to God, it's like a girl changing outfits. I swear. I'm so indecisive with it. I'm just trying to make the best decision for it to be, because I don't really give a fuck. All I want Cherokee is from the windshield to the hood to have somewhat of body panels that once resembled a Cherokee at one point. Like, the whole back could completely get changed up.
Well,
the
then
cab area could get.
In my opinion, it sounds like you need more seat time.
So be it, but I mean, I still need a cage. So,
I don't disagree about the cage, but I'm just saying it's like.
But then that ties into the idea of what Graham said. While you're there, are you gonna do it right? Or you're gonna half-ass it. You might as well do it right while you have the time and effort to put into it.
I never said don't half-ass it. I'm still gonna half-ass it. I'm just gonna do it right.
Yeah, do it twice, Grembo, or whatever. But
fix it again, Graham.
Fix it again, Graham.
Yeah.
So then there must be an in-between that we can come to terms on.
Yeah, no, and if you want to chop it up, feel free to chop it up. But I'm saying if you don't have a clear vision as to what you want to do, just wheel it more while you think of it. And come up with a concrete plan.
I need safety.
Just don't be dumb.
Don't roll it.
Yeah.
Fuck that. There's so many lines that I want to try that are just on that cusp of dickhead that I need a cage.
Well,
trust me, there's literally one line that I know will work.
A hybrid cage will get you done.
But
and be strong.
I guess you're right. But I mean, then I'm still spending $1,500 on tube that is not going to be staying on the Jeep, which sucks.
If you were to do a bare minimum hybrid cage, you'd have a solid B pillar, assuming you build the internal structure correctly. You'd have an A pillar, the halo on the top, and C and or maybe a D pillar, depending on how far back you go, depending on what you want to do with it in the future. That doesn't mean all that stuff has to stay exactly where it is the whole time. You can cut the pillars off and put the pillars in new spots, as long as you sort of know, I may want to change this in the future and maybe account for it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. There's no rules. You can put a cage in it now that'll suit your needs for now and not commit to dove-nosing and dovetailing the thing and then change it later. That's what sawzalls and angle grinders are for.
I guess, but again, we're there. I mean, great. Okay, I guess you're right. I'm not saying that in July on the fucking 13th at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm chopping my Jeep in half, and that's the day the build starts. That's not what I mean. I mean, even though it's actually perfect because it lines up right after Badlands, which is when I probably would do it. But either way, oh, actually, I think it's right as Badlands starts. But regardless,
I'm sorry to tell you, boyo, but that's right in the middle of my busy season.
And it does not have to be. I got a backyard, dude. I will chop it up wherever the fuck I need it to do. And the only thing that I would need is a bender and somebody to weld it. That's it. And 3 other brains that I can go, does this idea work? If I bend this to this, is this structurally safe?
Listen, 120 wall is not difficult to weld. It's easier than welding thicker stuff.
Again, Genuinely,
yourself
I
a welder.
experience yet.
I do not have seat time. I don't have seat time on a fucking welder, you know? I do not got the hands, dude. I swear to God, I am Stevie Wonder
Literally,
trying
you
to...
do little cursive E's or whatever. I don't know. Everybody's got
It
different
doesn't work,
strategies.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm dog
What are you
shit.
talking about?
I'm a dog shit welder, okay, Graham?
Slow
I stay
down.
in my lane, all right? I know where I am. And I have no problem paying people for proper shit, and that's fine. What I'm just saying, it's gotta get
We're
some
gonna have
spice.
to
That
work
thing-
on that one with you. That's
Oh,
not.
absolutely. That's gonna take time.
You gotta.
but
It doesn't take that much time. Welding isn't that difficult.
He ain't seen
to
my welds.
become
We have
proficient at. I'm not gonna say good, but
My welds are good. They're not great. They're okay.
Sam.
Mine look like a toddler playing with the packaging foam from a package that they just put
Oh,
onto
shut
metal.
up. You were just doing your fucking stiffeners. That's fine. We're gonna have
It's
to
more
fucking
than
chop
that.
them,
On the
and
ground,
you're
too,
okay.
probably.
It's fine. You were
You just
doing
need
just
more
fine on...
practice.
Yeah, you're doing
Dog
okay on the
shit.
truss. Or on the truss. Wow.
You're gonna
Super
save
glue
so much
and
money and
foam
so much
chunks.
time in the long run if you just learn how to weld and you buy
Yeah,
yourself
absolutely.
a pink welder.
Oh, dude, I'm 23.
consistently
Of course,
weld.
I have time to like get to that level of expertise.
Also, you
But
got
what
the
You don't have to be
cheater
an
mode
expert. You just
enabled.
have to glue metal together and have it not rip apart. Test a few things that aren't critical, and as long as it doesn't rip apart after some hard wheeling, then you know you've done good enough, and you can probably translate that to something that might actually affect you in a life or death situation.
So,
Fair.
like, I'm probably gonna end up helping Kish with his stuff, but I mean,
Yeah.
you guys both have cheater access because you've got a 220 machine free to your disposal to use.
Just gotta pay
So,
for gas and wire.
gas and wire and the consumables, because you guys do
Oh,
both
yeah.
fucking zap the tip all the fucking time.
I do.
I do.
I should want to.
I'll just supply you with more DeWalt tools.
It's not
Okay.
TIG.
No, okay. Again, I shit you not, dude. I'm like,
What are you,
okay,
like,
it's
you
popping.
dripping
Okay,
it
go a
right
little
back on
closer.
top?
I'm like, oh, it's a little closer. Let me just, and then it's like fucking halfway in there, stuck, and then I'm beating the thing off like fucking Karate Kid because
Oh
now
my
it's
God.
fucking
Maybe
zapped
you're
up in
worse than I
there.
expected.
And I pulled it off, and I'm like looking at it.
I
I
don't
take
think
a little
I've ever done
screwdriver. Bro, I gotta use like a 1/2-inch screwdriver to pull the fucking shit off of it because I'm so dog shit. Dude, I'm not even kidding. I'm so bad at welding that there
I've
needs to
been
be
working
a...
on trying to help.
Just give him some like practice plates or something.
We tried.
That's bad. Keep the
Dude.
tip like half an inch to an inch away. I don't know what the proper
But then I get
distance is, but-
splatter.
Kish, did
No.
you order that truss yet?
Yes, I did. I hit up your guy. I hit up Chad Bartley or whatever, however you say his fucking name, and I got the front truss with some brackets coming my way.
$20,
For the,
I'll weld them on for you.
for the 50.
I like my life.
I choose life. But yes,
But
for the 50.
For the 50.
What did you end up going with truss wise? Barnes, Artec,
Yeah. Barnes.
Barnes. I've heard good things
with
about those.
a bracket.
Are you sure it's Barnes for a 99 to 04 Super Duty?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sure they
that's
make
cool.
one.
I just
Yeah,
hadn't seen that on the website.
That's what the link he sent me was.
Oh, word.
Yeah, because
Um,
he sent me the price with links to the pages on Barnes for everything.
Sweet. Just double check
It
to
was
make
like-
sure that it isn't an 05 plus. I mean, if it's an 05 plus, we'll just grab you an 05 plus axle. No big deal.
Or you can sell it to me and I'll buy an 05 plus.
Mm.
I'm fucking looking right now.
But
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Iron Rock Off Road, their customer service is pretty good.
yeah,
They sent me only one of the kits, and I called them up, and the guy was like, "Oh shit, yeah,
Oh,
we'll send."
son of a bitch!
It's for an 05 plus.
Yeah.
Wow! Round of applause, everybody. Round of applause.
I didn't
Uh,
even notice that.
Wow,
I
awkward.
would shoot
Couldn't make it work.
I would shoot Chad a message. It shouldn't be a big deal to get that fixed.
Yeah,
But-
I'll have to do that.
Or worst case scenario, you sell it to either myself or Grembo, and things happen.
Or I just pick up an 05 plus axle.
Yeah, for
you could do
$600.
that. Where are you getting your
What?
05 pluses for $1,600?
16.
Sorry, I'm stupid.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
that
no.
600 was way
Yeah,
too
I was
expensive.
No, I got a place to grab them for $255. Like,
Then why the hell am I trying to pick up Grams 97 for $250? And I already stripped it.
because it's already stripped for $200.
There's the deal for you.
Wow.
Pre-stripped by you. You know it was done well. Cut. You just can't weld.
Dude, I'm actually no, I can't. You should see the scar on my leg from the the angle grinder.
Oh my god.
Power tools, breaking bolts. Oh yeah, I'm a menace. But
I do have to
I'm
say
a good
that
time.
that genuinely had me concerned for quite a while that day, Cody.
That was the only thing that really freaked me out about that was it wasn't bleeding. There was no blood. It did not hurt one single bit. Like for 2 weeks afterwards, I could sit there and smack it. Did not hurt whatsoever, and there was zero blood. It was very weird.
Huh.
Granted, I cleaned it out like crazy. Still didn't even hurt. Like put hydrogen peroxide, didn't hurt. Pulled out fibers from the disc, didn't hurt. It was weird.
You just got lucky. Didn't hit
Yeah.
the nerves. You
Dude,
just
it
don't
was-
have nerves there, apparently.
Dude, it was so sketchy. I was cutting off the extra piece for the driver's side coil mount. Oh my god, coil bucket. Boo!
Mhm.
Couldn't even fucking talk right there.
Yeah.
And I was cutting, and I was doing everything normal. I had it facing away from me. I had the big face shield on. Like I was doing everything completely safe.
Except there wasn't a guard on.
The guard wouldn't have helped. The guard.
No, but the guard wasn't on, and you were in
Correct.
shorts.
Okay. Was it? No, I was wearing jeans. I have the jeans still that have the scuff on them.
Nice.
I could
And-
have sworn that you were in shorts.
I do not wear shorts when I know I'm gonna be around power tools. That's silly. But
Oh.
yeah, either way, it like cracked just enough that when it caught, it just went "Fring!" right out of my hands and just barely nicked me right in the leg. And oh yeah, good times.
Yeah, you gotta make
So-
sure you have a hold of it. Some grinders are
But-
more prone to kick than others. I've got a couple of Makitas that don't kick at all, but Jacob's got this like what is it? Harbor Freight Bauer. We call it Eddie, and it that thing kicks like a motherfucker.
Does it sling hockey pucks well?
I mean it. I don't know where you're going with that, but
Eddie never mind. Okay, don't.
Eddie Bauer. I thought
Yeah.
that was like, don't they make pants?
No, Eddie Bauer is the owner of Bauer from like hockey company, but it's
Oh
fine.
well, Eddie
Don't
Bauer is
worry
also
about
a
it.
clothing company. I think I was wearing Eddie Bauer pants, and that's when I was like, "Oh shit, Eddie Bauer." You call him Eddie.
Wait, they weren't buckle jeans? I'm so surprised. You're not a.
Well, See, here's one thing too about what happened with you, Cody, is you were using the Milwaukee, which has the on-off switch, not like the
those ones
DeWalt,
suck.
which has the variable. You know, you have to
We don't
hold the
own-
trigger.
We don't have
The
a
Craftsman.
Milwaukee.
Oh, sorry, Crafts. My bad.
That's that.
Crafts.
That is competitors right there, man.
My bad. But that's one of the reasons why, especially if I'm using a cutoff wheel, I use the DeWalt, because that way it only has power if I'm holding the trigger.
Yep.
I don't
So
know. I feel like
if something happened,
It's still
and
gonna
it
be
went
spinning,
flying,
but it's not gonna like.
yeah, but it's not gonna have power.
Yeah.
You know, like
You know what?
Cody
Go ahead.
threw it and it was still going.
I didn't throw it. I didn't have a choice. The thing kicked out of my hand like a bucking bronco and was going on its own
The
way,
thing
dude.
kicked out of your hand and it was still going on the floor.
The thing was singing Country Road as it ran away. I swear to God. John Denver popped out of the corner.
The biggest thing that I'm going to take away from this conversation, the McDonald's was definitely worth it. Because I wasn't there for that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you were doing something.
I think I was. No, I was at
Wait,
Bob Bell.
No. Yeah, you weren't with us at all that day. That was the one day that you left me and Richie to our own our own vices or whatever. Like all of a sudden I texted the group chat. I'm like, I fucked up.
I went to Ma Bell that day.
Yeah,
Yep.
you were at my bell with Ryan, right?
Yep.
So, Ma Bell, man, every time I go up or even near loading dock, I just think of Colin's fucking 44 exploding, dude. Like, such a horror story of just, oh yeah, there he goes.
I
was
don't have an
expected.
excuse not to try it this year.
Do it. I'm down. If you do it, I'll do it.
Well, I'm gonna
That
have
one-
to do it. I've got stickies and fucking coilovers now.
Well, I don't need safety to do it, right, Graham? So I could just do it and try again.
Yeah.
Do it again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
exactly.
fucking around.
I mean, that is a
would
good
fuck
excuse
me
to
up.
fucking chop up that unibody there, boyo.
Yeah, it'll be a good excuse when it turns into a pancake and I'm halfway inside of it.
We got Milwaukee's. We'll get you out of there.
That's one of those lines that I've put my tires on a few times, and it's always denied me. I don't know if it's just hasn't been the right conditions, or I've just been a pussy on it. But
No,
I feel like it's a bit of both.
that is one of
So-
them fucking hard lines where you get on it, and once you think you're in the line, you just kind of gotta commit, and the ZJ went right up it every time. I never got denied.
So
My
the only reason
XJ
Oh,
gets
sorry.
denied.
So the only reason that I would say it's a little bit of both is because I've seen 4 rigs go up it, just me personally, and they all do it the exact same. Get your tires about 75% up that climb, and then hammer. I mean,
Yep.
fucking give it everything that your Jeep has. Where with you, I've noticed. I mean, granted, actually, the last 2 times that we were there,
I haven't been to Ma Bell in a while.
Yeah,
and it has
was
been
raining.
gross.
It was wicked nasty mud at the bottom. It's been dug out by everybody else and their brother who's been trying it. But I noticed like you got to like just about the tip.
Because it's
And then-
sketchy. Because it's
Oh, dude, it's
sketchy.
horrifying. Oh, absolutely. I
But,
wouldn't,
you know,
I wouldn't climb up it.
I mean, I've got some other things I've done now. I've done more vertical climbs. I'm more comfortable in that position now. I'm maybe on a nice good day. We'll
On a
make it up.
dry day, it makes it a lot easier.
Well,
when
it's a
I was-
puddle at the bottom otherwise, and it's just
Yeah,
screws
when
it
I
all
was
up.
wheeling Ducky, it was, I'm gonna call it a 2-tap obstacle because normally I would hit the rev limiter and tap it twice before I was up it. On a dry day, you can almost just like, not quite idle up it, but I was at 111 and you could just give it a light bump and the thing would climb.
Yeah.
The wheelbase helps though.
Cody, I think this you mentioned it really early, and we cut away from it, talking about trying different things on different lines, and I wanted to mention that if it's an easy obstacle, I would tend to just those ones are, I don't want to say they're throwaways, but right, once you can get up them, it's like checked off the list, right? I can do that
Yep.
one, right? At least for
Yep.
me, that's how it's always been. For me, the obstacles that I love are the ones that deny me consistently. And then I've had, I think I was on 35s and we were at Harris Mountain, and I'd had a couple different variations in my setup over the years that we had been going there. And sometimes I'd make it up one shot. Other times it'd spit my drive shaft out. It'd break my brake lines right off, and then I'd slide back and slam into the back and destroy my rear bumper. I think I broke multiple brake lines trying to get up that obstacle. Improper setup, probably. But
Which obstacle specifically?
it wasn't even that hard. It was like a blue. It's marked as a blue. It's
Is it the weird turnoff that I broke my hatch or blew up my hatch on?
Are you got? No, I know the obstacle he's talking about. It's
don't know
off
what it's
of the
called.
main loop. If you go in, and then you go up past what the fuck is it? Creek Trail. Like instead of going up Creek Trail, you go up that green, and then you keep going onto the loop up there. It's a turn off to the side near that, and it's right near where Colin always jumps his Jeep.
Yep.
Oh, you're talking about the little double step up,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Yeah.
double step, but it's at a
Yep.
strange angle, and if you don't have the
Yes.
right size tires, it just absolutely denies you every time. I've since
Yes.
totally conquered that. I don't think it will ever give me problems ever again, but for probably a solid 2 years, it was like, am I going to make it today, or am I going to just get absolutely fucked? And those are the obstacles I like, the ones that, you either, some days you have it and other days you don't. And I think that's more interesting than, picking and choosing lines, right? Because you're trying to figure out, okay, what was the line that actually gets me up it versus what's the one that you just denies me every time, right?
Huh.
I could never, on that one, I couldn't figure it out with the 35s. I think it was just conditions that was giving me problems, but
It's definitely. I see what you mean.
something to think about, right? If you
Oh,
haven't already.
there's a video of that with my old ZJ doing that line and having to bump the shit out of it, speaking of conditions, because it was wet as shit that day.
I remember the
Yeah.
one day that I did it, or the last time I went to Harris Mountain.
You walked
I
up it,
did
right?
No, we had a weird problem. I remember that I think I was open in the rear too, so I barely had traction. I was on the 36s, so they were dog shit. But it was dry as can be, and I believe that was the only reason that I got up it was because I just backed up enough, and Luke was like, "Yeah, just point your tires a little to the left there, just fucking smack it." But I climbed up it left, got stuck in the weird like notch that goes across it, backed up a tiny bit, and then bumped it up. But I could see where that has so many different variations that could come out of it. That one day it could be this, one day it could be that. One like there's no very set line on that to really cruise up.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that pretty much covers it. Anyone got any final thoughts?
No,
I'm
sounds
all
pretty.
set.
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me.
All right, well, don't forget to air up and lock the gate behind you.